wish carried out, because we have to look at the individual's part too, because we have to ask ourselves, I do have a desire to donate my organ, and that is a very precious decision to me. And I want to ensure that that decision gets carried out when the time comes. So why are we so dependent on that decision at the worst time possible? When the family is in a state of shock, in grief, and not able to really make that decision. So this is presently getting addressed with all the provincial governments. We're hoping we can get the federal government so that we can make this a federal amendment rather than a provincial amendment. And we also don't have the opportunity, the option of meeting the donor family, the recipient meeting the donor family physically. At present, we could only communicate through a screen letter, which is fine and great. People like myself, who's pretty bad at letter writing, I'm hoping to meet them physically one day, because there's a strong bond. I think of them every day. You know, and one day I would like to meet them, only if they have the desire to meet me. Now, at present, we don't have this option available. And that's called mutual consent. And what mutual consent entails is that if there's a desire with the donor family to meet the recipient, and a mutual desire with the recipient to meet the donor family, along with some guidelines, there should be an option available for that to take place. I met a lot of donor families that have a strong desire to meet that recipient for completeness, you know, for a sense of continuance. And it just makes sense that we should have an option available for these meetings to take place. There's been very many successful meetings that have taken place in other parts of the world. Why not establish this in our country? So what I'm calling on the federal government and the provincial government to do is to embrace the spirit of organ donation, accept that we have a cure, and make the commitment to address this shortage, make the commitment to promote a campaign from coast to coast where they can clearly promote a high-spirited campaign on the benefits of organ and tissue donation, so that when Canadians see what the benefits are, they'll be left with a good feeling, and they can decide to make that decision. And also have the governments take the necessary steps to create more hospitals from coast to coast, because we don't have enough hospitals right now. We don't have enough retrieval centers, and people that are in remote areas won't have a chance of their organs getting in time to that place where they're needed. So we need the governments to really step to the plate and address this, because you know what's at stake? Right now there's 4,000 people on the waiting list, and surely over 1,000 of them will die if this shortage keeps up. And if we had an increase, we can widen our waiting list also. And knowing that the governments would take these steps, right now, those 4,000 families are living very desperately, just like anybody else that's on the waiting list, because of the shortage. If the government made this commitment to step in and say that they were going to address this issue, it would bring a tremendous amount of hope to all those families and any future families that might have the misfortune to have one of their loved ones suffer with any kind of organ disease that might need a transplant. So that's what our campaign is all about. We're hoping to inspire not only the public, we're hoping to inspire the 2 levels of government, and it's because we want to give those people on the waiting list a fighting chance. Now, we're doing this on a 0 budget, and the only way we've been getting by, and by the way, today is day 252 for me, and the only way we've been getting by is because each community that we go to are helping us out. And it's the only way this campaign has stayed alive. We're not sponsored by any big corporations. I wish we were. Would have made life a lot easier. We have to do all the advance work on the road. It's a 7-day, 24-hour-a-day job for me right now. And also my road crew, who I met in Fort Francis because I ran out. My 4th road crew got too overwhelmed with everything and went home, you know. So we are looking for any kind of donations that would help out. And we are a non-profit charitable organization, so we can issue tax receipts. And you know, I'm doing this as a complete volunteer to acknowledge that family that made that courageous decision, and just to do my part as a proud, concerned, and very crazy, grateful Canadian. I want to once again thank you for giving me this opportunity to bring this very important message to you. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Are there any questions that any of you would like to pose to George? Harvey.
I guess the one question I have is what portion of people actually have signed donors' cards? Like in Saskatchewan, it's attached to our driver's license. What portion of people actually carry a donor's card on them?
See, there's actually no way of really knowing that. That's why I'm promoting a national registry. We should have a registry set up with a data bank where we will be able to have a good number. Now, the problem that exists with the donor card at this time is that a lot of times hospital officials are reluctant to approach the family, seeing them in a lot of shock, and even when the donor card's signed, you know. And a lot of police officers aren't trained to search for the card. So, I mean, it's one that we need to use right now, you know, and express our wish to our family. But we have no way of knowing how many people have signed that card, you know. From my experience, and I've talked to hundreds of thousands of Canadians since I've started this walk, majority of Canadians are good people. They do have a desire to donate their organs. You know, so this appears to be not a reflection on Canadians. I think it's more a reflection on our government for not taking the steps. When this became a cure, the governments should have stepped right in and did everything possible to have the best system in our country possible. And right now we don't, you know. So this is why I got to kind of keep screaming from town to town to have them come up and step to the plate and start doing more things.
Any other questions?
Gord, I don't have a question, but I would like to extend a challenge to the Rotarians in this room today. I think George has brought us a very clear message, and each and every one of us could one day require a transplant in some form or other. I have $10 in my shirt pocket here that I would like to present to our Secretary Diane, and I would hope the other Rotarians would either match or better than that, and we could build up a fund that we could present on behalf of our Rotary Club to make this cause worthy as it goes across Canada.